Welcome to Wayward Writers. I'm senior literary agent and author Heather Cashman.
I'm author and writing coach Stephanie Bearce.
And I'm author and writing coach Nicki Jacobsmeyer.
Our mission is to nurture and enrich established writers throughout their publishing journeys.
We welcome all genres, age groups, and publishing paths through video podcasts, online webinars, in-person retreats, and more.
We're here to help you conquer your path.
Welcome to this episode of Wayward Writers. We are so grateful to have you with us today. We are going to be talking to Cherie Postill about how to train your beta readers and sell more books. I love this topic.
I know. I'm so excited.
Okay. Nicki, will you tell us more about Cherie?
Yes.
Please.
C.L. Postill is the author of the best-selling book, How to Train a Beta Reader and Sell More Books, a nonfiction guide for writers. She is also an experienced speaker, presenter, life coach, and sales professional. She serves as a vice president on the St. Louis Writers Guild Board, overseeing contests and acting as a liaison for 20-plus school districts to help expand youth programming. Cherie is also a member of Saturday Writers and the Pine Valley Writers Association. She teaches workshops for writers of all age, and you can connect with her at clpostill.com or email her at cherie@clpostill.com. And of course, her books are wherever you love to buy your books. So welcome, Cherie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love to share this topic with writers because I have a very special place in my heart. I love writers. I love creatives. And so I'm glad to be here and be able to, it's a privilege to share this information with you and your writers. And I want to thank you for this podcast. I've watched many of your episodes, and what I will say is thank you for sharing so many valuable insights about writing and supporting us as a writing community. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I love this kind of, Cherie and I met at a workshop at a guild meeting that I was speaking at. And what I loved about it, her energy was just so magnetic. Like it was just, I immediately was like, ooh, I want to talk to her. And there's certain times, a lot of times we'll have people come email us and say, hey, we really want to hear about blank topic. And then we'll find a guest. And then sometimes we'll find a guest and it's, what are you going to talk about? But with this, we've talked about, what about being a beta reader? And it's such a important but sometimes nuanced topic. And it was so great when we met and then you told me about your book. It felt like a meant to be moment. So we're really glad you're here. First, before we get into beta reading, can you share your writing journey with us?
I would love to share my writing journey. I think it's I don't think it's that atypical. I started writing in elementary school. I literally have little stories that my husband makes fun of that I wrote when I was in elementary school. And then I went into the business world and I spent probably 35 to 40 years writing for other people. I wrote everything from executive summaries to speeches to I was doing marketing. And I had the privilege of working with people like Anheuser-Busch, Nestle Purina, 7-Up, Rawlings Sporting Goods. I learned so much about technical writing and marketing from them. I always knew my heart was in it to write. And then I said, there's a genre that I found very underserved, which was the genre of middle grade readers. And at the time I did have young boys who were middle grade readers. So I started writing what's going to be released as a trilogy, a sci-fi trilogy. I wrote my first novel. I was really excited. I got my editors. I wrote the novel. I edited it. And then I went to the next step, which to me, as a marketing professional, was very obvious. We beta test. No company or any product I've ever worked on did not beta test their product. It just made sense. So I like to start with the definition of what beta means. Because when you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says beta is a product that is almost finished, but not quite ready for the market yet. That's what a manuscript is. That's what a draft is. And so I went out and I said, I'm going to go find the process. Obviously, there's one out there. And what I found in the writing community was there was no process. In fact, just the definition of the word beta reader was all over the place in the literary community. Everybody was calling it something differently. So I spent about 2 years with Writing, I went to tons of conferences. I love writer conferences, and I
Yes.
did over 100 workshops. And I just kept asking the same question, where is this beta reader? And I built the process. I said, if there isn't one, I'll make one.
See a need, fill a need, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I saw a lot of writers that were being, they're very disappointed. Some of them stopped writing because they put out a book that wasn't publication ready. And the missing link seemed to be a misunderstanding of how to test your product on the market. A beta reader, by definition, is your ideal avatar. This is who you're writing for. Wouldn't it be awesome to know if the people you're writing for, whether it be romance, horror, fantasy, wouldn't it be great to know if that group really loved what you were writing? Because they're the people that are reading it out there. And I found that to be a missing piece. So I started asking a question. I said, what is the top 3 reasons why manuscripts are rejected or self-published don't sell well? I did that for 2 years and I compiled all the data and I came up with a term that I call underdeveloped writing. And all of those things that I found in that category are taken care of by beta readers, not literary professionals, not editors. Lord knows I love my editor. Oh, yeah. But we needed beta readers. We needed avatars that could tell us that this isn't what I've been reading or this is like what I've been reading. And so that's where my journey began. And that's how I wrote the book. Then I got a great editor, and she helped me to put it into a process that everyone could understand. And I share in this book everything from what a beta reader is, how to get a beta reader, how to get the feedback that you need, and all the mistakes that writers make about beta readers. And it's all in a book, and I kept it real short. It wasn't even I couldn't
Wow.
even do a spine print on it. It's because I didn't I know.
This small.
I was very conscious of not overwhelming writers with anything they didn't need to accomplish this feat. Because I'm a marketing professional. That's what we did. We don't mess it up with a lot of. And so I was excited about my first book because I sent it out to beta readers and I got amazing actionable feedback. So what inspired me to write this book was seeing writers fail. Why are they
Yeah.
failing? Why are we not doing better? Why are literary agents not jumping up and down when we send them our book? And now we know. Yeah. And
That's
we wanted,
interesting.
yeah, and it is an interesting topic because, again, it's really around the whole definition of a beta reader and understanding that marketing principle of sending it out there. And I'm Italian, so I'm like, I tell people, this isn't spaghetti. We don't throw it up against the wall and see if it sticks. We want to know if it sticks before we serve it.
I love that analogy because we all know what it feels like to throw spaghetti at the wall as writers and creatives.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'm the only one. I hope not.
You're not the only one. Matter of fact, publishers themselves openly admit that they do not understand always why things don't work, or, that they sometimes have things that break out and they don't know why those are the ones that break out.
That's an excellent point, and you're right.
Yeah.
Because I know the top 3 reasons why that happens now because I spent 2 years asking that question. I asked
Right.
every publisher, I asked every literary agent, I asked other writers, what are the top 3 reasons? 2 of them we have no control over. One is market, right? You go to a literary agent if you're querying and they say they've already got 2 or 3 writers that are already writing in that genre. They can't bring on any more competition. They're already representing. 2, the market is saturated and no one's looking for that anymore. We can't control that either. And the third one was what I dubbed underdeveloped writing. Under that umbrella falls everything from underdeveloped characters, plot holes, it doesn't flow, there's some confusing things. So that umbrella of underdeveloped writing started to come to fruition. It got very clear to me what was happening with these books. And authors were not getting the feedback that they needed to know. I know my mother loves my book. I know my husband loves my book, right? Let them be your cheerleaders, but don't ask them to be your critique partners or your beta readers. Beta readers, again, by definition, are people that are already reading in your genre. And they love that genre, and they can compare your book to other books.
Why isn't it called alpha readers? Who are your alpha readers? Or is that just not a thing? Or what does beta come from?
Beta is a product that has not been tested yet. It is a partial product that has not been brought to market. So your beta readers, a beta reader is a reader of a product or a manuscript that's not quite finished or publication ready. So they're going to help you get that to that point. An alpha reader, I call my alphas my editor, my book coach, my publisher. Those are people that have been around in this business for a very long time, and they can give you very professional feedback. But
That your
they're not,
agent, yeah.
yeah, my agent is
So
wonderful.
to you, alpha comes after beta.
I use an editor first because I like my beta readers to get something that's been edited, but I don't do a full
Okay.
edit on it. I don't do a
Okay.
full edit. I pay for what I call a light edit to go
Uh-huh.
through and make sure that I don't want it to look like, I really don't know where the commas go, ladies. I don't. So that's
Okay.
why I have an editor. I love to just write. And I don't want my beta readers to be confused by any kind of grammar. But
Sure.
other than that, no. It's pretty much a raw manuscript. It's a draft.
And I love that you say that, Cherie, that you get like a light edit, because it speaks to the fact that you respect your beta reader's time.
Oh, yeah.
So that beta reader knows, and especially if you come back to them, right, with the second book or third book, like they know she is not here to waste my time. I am not here to like line critique for spelling, because for me it's spelling. People are like, why are you such a terrible speller? Aren't you a writer? And I said, yes, that's why I have dictionaries, the sources, and editors. So I think that's awesome. That's your process, right? You light edit and then you send it to your beta readers.
Yes. Then we
Okay.
go to our beta readers. But here's what I was watching happen for several years. I go to these conferences. I love writers, and they have these manuscripts, and they're excited. We have birthed a product. We are creatives. And this is our baby. Nobody wants to be told their baby's ugly. So we don't want anybody to read it, right? But when we're finally willing to take our baby out there and show them in public, what do? Writers say, please read my manuscript. They don't even ask. Please, would you? And they'll and I say, who do you want to read your anybody that'll read it, I want them to read it. And I think, okay, so you hand your manuscript or you send them an ebook and they start reading it. Two things happen. First, they either disappear and you never hear from them again. Because when you ask someone to be a beta reader, you frighten them. They don't know what you want. And you're a writer. People hold writers in relatively high esteem. So when you go to somebody that you know and say, would you beta read or would you critique my manuscript? It can be a scary situation for them. They don't know what you want. But let's say they do, they read it, and you wait weeks and weeks, and they finally get back to you and you see this person. And you say, oh my gosh, Heather, what did you think of my manuscript? And here's the answer I get. That was good. I waited 2 months to hear you say that. And what actionable feedback do I now have? None.
So this kind of goes to one of your blurbs in your book says, one simple rule, never ask anyone to read your manuscript without a list of questions. So this sounds like the direction you're heading. So explain to us, what should our steps as a writer be when we are looking for a beta reader?
Okay, because I love the question that you asked. You said, how do you train a beta reader
Yeah.
and how do you share steps? So here's how we avoid that. We have a questionnaire, a very specific question. It's a lot of fun to do the questionnaire. When I go to my beta readers, I don't just say, what do you think of my manuscript? I have very specific questions, and each genre is going to have a little different questions, but I give away a free questionnaire on my website. You just go to click it, and you'll see what it is. To train a beta reader, here's what you need. You need a beta reader toolkit, and I created a toolkit. I give every one of my beta readers a printed manuscript, and I'll explain in a minute why I insist on printed. I always give them a mechanical pencil. Nobody has a pencil sharpener anymore. I give them a red, I know, right? I give them a red pencil just in case they want to be colorful. I give them several different color highlighters. I pack in there some flags, post-it notes, and little flags along with the questionnaire. That is my beta reader. The reason I do printed is because here's what I found. It's really easy to delete an email. It takes a lot more thought to take my printed manuscript and dump it into a recycling bin. I got better feedback with a printed manuscript. And I tell beta readers, I want you to read this questionnaire twice. And then I want you to put it aside. This is not an open book test. I'm planting seeds in their head of what I'm looking for in my manuscript. And I tell them, do not put this pencil down. My manuscripts look like an international parade went through them.
Love it.
There are notes on every single page of my manuscripts. Now, mine are mid-grade readers, so I get things like, if you kill this character, I'm never going to talk to you again. This
Mhm.
quote is so cool. Can I use it in social media? I'm confused here. Who's related to who? I need a family tree. I got to go back and rewrite that section, right? But my manuscripts come back annotated by qualified readers. I've gone out, I've found out that they read this genre. I know how many books they've read each year, and I give them my manuscript. So when my manuscript comes back, they are answering questions like, did you stop anywhere? Were you confused anywhere? Did anything surprise you? Would you have rewritten the end of this book? Your favorite character? Who didn't you like? So they read through those questions twice. They put that aside. And then those are in the back of their mind as they're reading my book. They know exactly what I want. I don't want editing. I want to know anywhere, and this is critical, where'd you stop? If you stopped because you were confused, make a note, put a flag. If you stopped because you laughed, I love that. If you stopped because you were mad at me because I killed a character, flag it. Anywhere you stopped in my book, I want to know why, good or bad. Because as a writer, what can I do with that? I can change it. I can fix it. I can't recreate what I don't know is a problem from my reader. And I'm so deep into the woods with my manuscripts and all the characters and things that are going on. I love writing. But I don't always see the forest for the trees. But I'll tell you what, my beta readers do. And they get confused and they will mark that right on there and say no. But now they know what they're looking for. So when I get my feedback, I also know what I'm going to get. Answers to every one of those questions. So every beta reader has the same questions to answer for my manuscript. And they're very well thought out questions. Where
Mhm.
did you stop? What did you love? What didn't you love? Where did you laugh? Where did you cry? Would you have killed that character? Did anything surprise you in my manuscript? Now, it depends on what you're writing. If it's adult romance, fiction, fantasy, mid grade, you're going to tweak those questions for your specific readers to make sense. But, ladies, guess what I get at the end also as a bonus?
What?
What?
All right. I get an email. I'm growing my email list because my beta readers are also sharing with me other people that read in their genre. Because I ask, how do I know? I ask. It's one of the questions on the on the beta reader. Do you know anybody else that would be interested in becoming a beta reader or would love this story? And they say, yes, I have a friend that would like this. So now I'm starting to build an email list and I ask them to write a review. Right
Interesting.
within the questionnaire, I say, please 2-sentence review, and I give them examples. Doesn't have to be big. It just has to be. Now I've got reviews, and because the beta readers I know are reading my genre, I get current book comparisons. What do all literary agents want? They want
Yeah.
Titles.
and what do they tell you? I don't want anything 20 years old because you're not writing the next Harry Potter. That's what they told me anyway.
Yeah.
And I
12
said,
years
great. I
now.
mean,
Yeah.
what better place to get current book comps than from readers that are already immersed in that genre? It works
Yeah.
beautifully. So not only do I get answers to the questions, I get those 3 bonuses at the end of my beta reader. I get my email list growing, I get reviews, and I get my book comps. Yeah.
So what, I mean, people I'm sure are loving to read your novel because, you're a published writer and that's enough. But do you find that some people need an extra incentive? And if so, is there extra incentives you get for being your beta reader?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I give them bragging rights. I give them bragging rights, and I tell them when this is published, your name will be in my book. I know this works because every person that I've beta read for, my name is in the front of their book. And I have to tell you, being a part of Nicole Evelina's
Oh,
37, I
she's
know. And
amazing. Yes.
pick up her book, Daughter of Destiny. And in the very
Yeah.
beginning, it says, thank you to Cherie Postill.
Oh, that's cool. She's been on our show too. She's lovely.
Yeah. So you see, I tell, and my beta readers love bragging rights.
Yeah.
There's nothing cooler than being able to say, I knew that writer before that manual. Can you imagine being a beta reader for, say, Harry Potter? And to say, I read that before anybody else did, and I helped with that? Or any one of the books that you read, if you love the author,
Hmm.
you want to be a part of their world. Readers love their authors. They love to know what you're doing, where you're going. So I give them that opportunity, and I say, yeah, Occasionally I'll take them to lunch, but I don't offer any kind of monetary compensation as a beta reader. So
That's
far,
great.
the bragging rights has worked for everybody.
That's awesome.
I know, right?
So it seems like once you get going, you are getting more and more names and things are moving forward. How do you get started though? How do you find those first beta readers?
That's going to be genre specific. If you have, in my case, let me start with mid grade because that's where I'm at. I'm very much involved with the schools. People say, I'm not. Do you have a grandparent? Do you have kids? Do you have neighbors? Everybody knows somebody that's in the
Mhm.
school district. Ask. Just ask. I got my very first beta readers by asking a teacher if she thought that would be a good project. Not only was it a good project for fifth grade creative writers, they were competing to see who could read my manuscript. I was so excited. We could only pick three, and the rest of the class was like, "Why didn't we get to do that?" And I don't know how the teacher handled it, but I know I got.
You're glad you didn't have to.
I didn't have to. I got three of her best readers to be my beta readers, and it obviously benefited them.
Yeah.
They were proud. She said they were bringing my manuscript to school every day.
Oh, that's so great.
I know, right? Now, if it's adults and it's romance readers, you want to find some of your book clubs. Go to your books, to the colleges as well. And there's a letter in my book. It's a sample letter. Dear creative professor at college such and such. My name is Cherie Postill. This is what I do. I write books. And I had a college professor that used it as one of their exercises for his creative writing class. I
Very
mean,
cool.
you're going
That's
through,
great.
yeah. So
So
Postal, this is
that
what
could
I
be
do. I write
problematic.
books, and I
So if I have my manuscript, right, and I'm ready to share, how many beta readers do you think is a good amount to receive feedback from?
as few as two and as many as 10, because you are systematically focusing their answers, and it's not a lot
Okay.
because you're going to get this. They're answering the same questions. If you had 10 people that you just gave your manuscript to and said, "What do you think of it?" Yeah, that's too many. But if you have 10 people that are all answering the same, I don't find that I need really any more than 3 or 4 because I've qualified those beta readers.
Okay.
They've already read. Some of these young people that I've dealt with have read 20 or 30 books in that genre already.
Sure. Yeah, they're avid readers, right? They're
Right.
gobbling them up.
Yeah.
So how much
Yeah.
time do you give? So for you, right, it's a middle grade novel. Okay, so we're around 50,000, somewhere in there. How long do
Exactly.
you give them to digest your book?
The date's important. Don't ever leave it open. You have to have a deadline because if you don't have a deadline, they won't have a deadline. I
Yeah.
try to give them 4 weeks.
Okay.
4 weeks to read. Now, because I do mid grade, when I write for adults, like when I beta tested this book, it was a little different. But when I do it with kids, I give them, it depends on whether they're on summer break, whether they're in school, whether they have homework, that type thing, because kids are real involved in band and lots of extracurricular.
Sure.
Adults, I've done beta reading on this book here 2 weeks, and I was really
Yeah.
flattered that these adults came back to me in 2 weeks with that book. You got to kind of feel out your beta readers. Is this a 110,000 word murder mystery? What is this that you're to read? And you know how long it takes you to read a
Sure.
manuscript. And then just kind of
Yeah.
extrapolate that out and give them, and you can let them know. If you don't meet the deadline, that's okay. Just let me know. And then you wait by the mailbox because here's what I do. I send the manuscript out in a box with all my little toolkit. And underneath that is a padded envelope with a return paid sticker.
Mm.
When they're done, all they do is drop it in, seal it, and
That's
off it goes.
amazing.
I get it
What a
back.
great investment.
I
So
found
it made me think about something. Obviously, critique partners and beta readers are two different things. I don't know if you feel the need to share the difference, but you're more than welcome to. But can you pick, can they be both? Or do you think that not having fresh eyes because they've been a critique partner is not advantageous?
if you've been sharing with your critique group, which most critique groups do, we write, we share, we write, we share, we tweak, we change. Those people are not good beta readers
Got it.
because they're
Mhm.
close to the work. They're as close as you are. And I find that in a lot of critique groups are all at the same level of writing.
Mm,
So if you're in a critique group with all new writers, you want feedback that it's a little bit advanced to that, a little bit over that, where they've had more experience. I always ask my critique partners what they think of my books. I always ask for feedback. I love my developmental editor, but I got to tell you, I can show you my manuscripts that came back with all the flags in them. That's where I got my feedback. That's where I knew when to change it. I had comments in there that said things like, when to change it. Say this. Because they're not 13 years old.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
needed people that were living that life, reading that genre, and answering my questions. Because I know one of the things that I get a lot about, Cherie, what do you do when you get conflicting feedback? And I had to think about that for a minute, and I had to go through all my stuff. I don't get conflicting feedback because they're answering the same questions.
Mm.
Conflict I get is somewhat might a few people wanted to change the ending of it
Mm.
or some one character better than another. But when I thought about conflicting feedback, meaning what? One person said they liked it and one person said they didn't. That's not even feedback. That's just opinion, right? That's not even, you can't do anything. That's not a critique point if it's just good or bad. So I did find that to be an interesting question because I don't get a lot of conflicting feedback. My husband critiques books that I don't because he picks up things like they murdered the guy before they shot him. A Glock doesn't have a safety on it when they pulled it off. You can't jump off the arch and land in the river. Really, what I call developmental. Your
Mhm.
beta readers are going to catch all that. They do. They catch some things that I had no idea that they would be able to catch in my book. And I said, oh, okay. And they don't let you get away with much either.
No, they don't, which is
That's
good.
good.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you know if, you've been using a beta reader, and how do you know if they're not working out, and how do you deal with that? Do you just take them off your list? Do they just not get the next book?
Yeah. Usually the only thing that happens is when I know they're not good is when they don't show up. They disappear. Because if I've qualified them and I know they love to read and I know they love that genre, there has to be a reason why they've disappeared or haven't given me feedback. So
Mhm.
not really had any problems with that, but I did have one that wanted to make a lot of changes to my book. That's what I would call a non-productive beta reader. I take them off my list. I don't include them. One of the questions I ask in the manuscript, if it's a trilogy that you're writing or there's more than one, a- absolutely, would you read the next book? Would you beta readers, you don't want to let them go, but you want to constantly refresh. I never ask a beta reader to read the manuscript more than once. I don't think that's fair. They're not professionals. It's not like I give them a manuscript, go back and make changes, and then give it back to them. Never.
But is there times through a manuscript's life that you get different groups of beta readers before it's completed or upon completion? And if so, what stages do you recommend getting beta readers?
You're writers. You know the hard parts, right? The beginning
The
and the end,
blank
right?
page.
The beginning and the end, and then there's the muddy middle. I
Right.
have used beta readers very effectively for the first 5 chapters. And two reasons. One, the time commitment is minimal for them. I need to know whether they were engaged
Yeah,
right away. Because I can, how many times have you rewritten the first chapter of your manuscript?
right.
Yeah, I'm just going to be honest here. I rewrote the beginning of my first that first chapter was just, oh, you lose sleep over that. So I use beta readers in the beginning, first 5 chapters, and I will ask them to read the whole thing if the feedback is appropriate. And then I love to test the end. I love to test the end of my novel. I love to challenge them a little bit and say, what would you have done anything differently? Would you have taken my main character on another adventure? Very specific to the story, that character. Would you have done that? And just give them an opportunity to be a little bit creative with it at the end. They used to do that with movies. There was a place right here in Springfield, Illinois that used to do that. They would play a
Oh, yes.
movie and they had several different endings, and then the audience got to on the ending.
Yeah.
That's beta testing a movie. So those
Mhm.
are the only ways that I would. And if I think that the middle is confusing in some way or I'm stuck, I tend to use my critique partners for that because a lot of that is craft. How do I get through the dialogue? Why did it slow down here? This was awkward. You're not going to ask a beta reader that. This didn't make sense. I stopped here because I was bored. I don't know. We give them that information and then they feed back to us. And this is what I found missing in the writing community was that marketing element of testing your novel with the people, your avatars. then you know that if an agent doesn't like it, that's okay. Because I know the people that read this genre love it. So that agent might just be overwhelmed with that genre. They may have too many authors already working with. They're just not looking for that. Because you know how that works. They're just going to go through all those things that they have. They're only looking for specific things. If I've got a bunch of romance and I don't want any more right now. And that's what
Makes
they're going
sense.
to, yeah. I think,
It certainly adds a level of confidence. I think it would definitely add like this level of confidence in your writing that you were writing something that would sell, even if
absolutely.
Because that's the
publishing
question
doesn't think so.
we have when we go to query or whatever, right? Will it sell? Will they
Right.
like it? How nice to be like, they might not, but these 5 people do.
My
So there's
audience
that.
likes it.
My audience likes it,
Yes.
but in the
Yeah,
market might not. The right and those uncontrollables, like you said, they're
right.
uncontrollables. And yes, they can be maddening, but wasting time on them
It's pointless.
it's
And
pointless.
And the
Yeah.
good news is there's always room for another novel out there. There's no such thing as a flooded market. There's no such thing as oversaturated. I just read an article. I went back and Harry Potter was published, and they said that within 10 years, that fantasy genre, magical realism, that was just going to die out. Nobody was going to want it anymore. The most popular genre on the market is still fantasy, and magical realism is alive and well. So
Right.
they don't always know the market trends that are going to happen, but your beta readers know what they want to read. And when they
Yeah.
come back at the end and they say, you know what? This reminded me of ABC meets XYZ, right?
Yeah,
Because
no, that's great.
that's the best way to describe a book to somebody. My book
Yeah.
is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. There would be a good
Mhm.
marriage, wouldn't it? That's interesting. I picked those two. But yeah, and those are the things that that's the easiest way to describe a book. What is it like? And it's what agents want, right? They want it's ABC meets XYZ. Then they get it and they go, oh, okay, it's one of those. And they dive into it. And that's what your beta readers are going to do for you. They're going to give you book comps. They're going to tell you what they've read, why it reminds them of what they've just read, why it doesn't remind them, and where they stopped. And you look at the questions in the questionnaire. It explains in the beginning of the questionnaire that this is an opportunity for you to help the writer create the best story possible, and it gives them very quick instructions. And with their toolkit, you know what? It's funny, ladies. They love the toolkit. They,
I
adults,
bet.
I'm sending adults these
Yeah.
little post-it notes and flags. They love it. They
I
get it.
believe it.
They
Oh,
open
yeah.
up the box and they go,
I
oh,
want
look
to
at
buy.
yeah.
It's what they do with normal books.
Yes, they're doing it anyways, right?
Yes,
They
it's a
are.
huge thing, like writing and making notes and highlighting, and they're doing all that in real books too.
And you
And
are
that's
giving
one
them,
thing, like annotated copies, that's a huge deal.
and that's exactly what I get back.
Yeah.
There's a comment on every page of my manuscript. I get their little handwritings, I get them. And when I did my beta reader book, I got tons of wonderful feedback from my beta readers about what does this mean? I didn't understand that. What do you mean you can find a beta reader here? How do
Mm,
So it really gave me a view of what it looks like, not to be me writing the book, but just as a lover of reading. So if you're writing nonfiction, the rules change a little bit. Beta readers change a little bit. Finding beta readers is actually easier for nonfiction because you dive into that professional realm of wherever you're writing for, and you find people to do that for you. But if
mhm,
you're writing fiction books, there's lots of beta readers out there. Librarians are a great source, by the way, of beta
mhm.
readers. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. The librarians like to help because they love books. You walk in, you introduce yourself, you tell them who you are, you tell them what you need, and they say, okay, I'll keep that in mind. I've
Well,
gotten, yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
something you just said, Cherie, made me think. Like you mentioned book clubs, and I know a lot of us are part of book clubs, and I'm part of a generic, like all genres, and I just started in the past several months going to a thriller specific book club,
Hmm.
and because I'm writing a thriller, and it has been a game changer just discussing the book, like in ways like that seemed really easy and too convenient. Like things that, unless you're reading in the genre constantly, it was very, I got so excited as a writer and a reader because I was like, this is amazing, right? These people get the rules or the this or, and so I can see
And they're
how,
dissecting it.
yes, they're dissecting it on a this, what if they could have done this? And it's not a slant to the author. It just gets you talking. And so I could see how then going to someone specific, they're going to give you their honest answer anyways. It just might not be to your face. So what a way to be like, this seems like you were really lazy here. Like how convenient was. Now granted, and what I always like is just like movie magic, we go into reading fiction with a some grace, right? Like some things we let occur just like we do in the movies. But some things we don't. And so this is just really fascinating to, I recommend you getting one, a genre specific book club to what you write, because that's been a game changer for me. But it goes into this
Mhm.
with beta readers. Like you're getting the heart and soul of your genre.
Yes. And if you
Mhm.
can get an opportunity to get your beta readers together, I've only been able to do this once.
Oh, wow.
I got all four of them in the same room. I took them over to, and they were mid graders. So we went over to Breadco and I said, whatever you want, just get. Within 5 minutes, I disappeared to them because I sat back and and listening to them talk about my book, you can tell I'm still so excited about it. They were talking about my characters.
Yeah.
And just in real specifics, did you notice that he was wearing that when he did that? And would you have done? And I loved it. I got such amazing a picture of what I was creating for my readers, what they really loved and what they wanted from me out of this book.
Yeah.
So that really helped a lot. So if you can get that piece of it together and invite them together or get your beta readers, same type thing. You're talking to people that all read that genre. And
Mhm.
I know what you're talking about because I listened to my husband talk about these books, the different murder mysteries and how they use DMSO to get the poison to absorb into their system through their clothes. And I'm going, whoa, stand back. I don't know any of these things. But those are things that avid readers in your genre, they know. So when you're going to write a
Yeah.
thriller, yeah, you're going to write a thriller, psychological thriller, they're going to compare it to all the other ones that they've read. And that's amazing feedback. They can say, I was too easy for him to do that, or that would never happen, or he'd never have gotten out of that.
Yeah, I did realize, I was like, ooh, nothing's going to go past these readers.
Nope.
It's like there's going to be no grace, which I don't want. I want no grace now, not later when the sales come in,
You don't
as
want
we
to
all
publish it.
do.
Yeah, you don't want to publish a book. And that's where I come under it's not publication ready. I love that slogan. Your manuscript is not publication ready. It's good. It's got plot, it's got flow, it's got care, but it's not publication ready until we know that
Mm-hmm.
the people that read that genre are going to love that and embrace it. We all know we get rejections. My first manuscript, I had 180 rejections. But here's the cool part. I celebrated every one
Good for you.
till I got dizzy and had to stop spinning in circles because you can only celebrate so much. Rejections don't mean it's against your manuscript. It simply means that person isn't the right one to represent your book.
Right.
I
And
100% agree with that.
yeah. Yeah, because and if they don't love it, you don't want them representing it anyway.
Do you think that writers do anything wrong when they're asking for a beta reader, or do they like misunderstand things about what working with a beta reader is supposed to be like?
Yes and no. I think in general, the whole concept of beta reading is now coming more into a mainstream. I've seen more articles written in Writer's Digest about it. I think in general, writers have the wrong idea of what a beta reader is. And once they understand the concept, oh, that's my avatar, that's my readers. Now they're a step ahead. They know what that is. And the mistake they make is handing their manuscript to just anybody and finding out later that person hasn't read a book in over 2 years. Or that person's never read a thriller, okay? They've never read a
Right.
thriller. How could I critique a thriller if I've never read one? I can tell you whether it kept me up at night. I have a
Sure.
girlfriend who writes horror. And so the questions that we came up for her beta readers were this: when did you get up to lock the door?
Mm.
They don't answer that question, she missed something somewhere. She wants to know, did you have to turn the lights on and where did you do that? Where did you pull the covers up over your face? So those are the kind of questions that you want to ask your people. And a lot of writers don't understand their audience. Ladies, have you ever asked, who's your book for? Everybody's going to love my book. Yeah, look at, she's going to know.
And that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. But this also allows them to become really crystal clear on who their avatar is. You can't go looking for a
Yeah.
beta reader until you know exactly who loves to read your book. My mother was the perfect beta reader for thrillers, murder mysteries, and romance. She read all three of those. She absorbed them and and she was my aunt. I use her as a beta reader. I send people to her because literally, I think she's read every romantic mystery ever written, right? And so she
Mhm.
gets to all kinds, and she'll come up with all these different authors, and she'll say, it reminded me. My authors love my aunt because she's such a good beta reader when she gives them feedback. It's not my editor saying, well, that didn't flow right, or you whatever. Just no, it's real.
So, last question. When the tables are turned, what can we do as writers when we're asked to be the beta reader?
Honesty's the best policy. If you don't read that genre, don't offer. Don't assume because you're a writer, you're going to be able to help them out. And be willing to read the book as a reader and just have fun with it. If you can enjoy that, you're a great beta reader. But if you're not, be honest. I've had people ask me if I would beta read their books, and I've said, no, I don't read that genre. I can't give you a fair critique, but I know someone that does. I don't read horror. I have a friend that writes horror, but I don't read it because it scares me. I don't want to sleep at night. I just do.
Yeah.
I say, Autumn, I love and it's very good horror, but I don't read it. I'll get her beta readers for it. I'll help her with questions, but I'm not the person to hand a psychological thriller because I'm going to love that book, but I will be the last one to know at the end who did it. That's why people love it when I read their, because I never know. My husband will have it figured out halfway through the book, and I'm like, what? How did you know this? But I don't read enough of that to
Yeah.
keep up with the way that works.
But I bet your husband, even though he knows, that's okay, as long as he's satisfied at the end. As long as he's satisfied. I love this. I feel like I could just chat with you all day about this. This is so innovative. It's been around, but people aren't using the tool. And
No,
I'm really excited to get your book and learn how to get those beta readers and be a good beta reader, right? Because all of our time is valuable.
yes.
And
Yeah.
readers,
And I
writers,
think too, if we're becoming a beta reader and they aren't asking us questions, we can go to Cherie's site and get the questions for ourselves.
right?
I put it right on the home page. It says free download. Just go ahead and click it. Get your free download. Just remember that is you're going to tweak that. You're going to customize it to the genre that you're writing. And you'll see that when you see the
Right.
questions. Because one of the most important questions you can ask your beta reader is, how did you feel at the end? How did this book leave you feeling? Did
Yeah.
you want another book? Were you sad? Were you happy? Were you depressed? And as a writer, isn't what our job is to entertain and create emotion from our readers. That's why the greats become the greats, because it's a common emotion. People feel it. So at the end of my book, how'd you feel? Yeah. And then hopefully you'll get the right answers.
Love
And
it.
but here's the thing, if you don't, as a writer, this is a craft. You can fix it. I
Yeah.
mean, an architect and I built a house for you and you didn't like the bathroom, but you didn't tell me what you wanted in your bathroom, I might get irritated, but at least I can fix it and change it because now you've told me exactly what you want. But I can't build you a house unless you tell me exactly how many bedrooms, so I want that feedback from you. I want to know what you expect from the genre that I wrote. And did I deliver that to you?
Mm-hmm.
And if I did, you got bragging rights. I'll put you in my book. I
Thank you
love
so much, Cherie. This has just been
It's
really
been fun.
encouraging and fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, very encouraging to get to apply these tools. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. And remember, books are like cupcakes. There's never enough of them out there. And what is the first thing that you do after you eat your favorite cupcake? What do you want?
Uh, Another one.
Another
Want another
cupcake.
one. So there's always room for your writing, for your book, for your story. In fact, we deserve it as readers. So write fearlessly. Get out there and write fearlessly.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Wayward Writers.
Let's connect. Find us at waywardwriters.com, X, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook.
See you next time. Conquer your path.